What's going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Chaos Head Noah. Last time on, we watched the short fan-made video about Chaos Gate, a crossover between Steins Gate and Chaos Head, which somebody told me in the comments below last episode was actually a introduction piece to Okabe as a character since it was released before Steins Gate actually properly released as a game, which was pretty cool. And I guess I was right with the whole thing of saying like it was a very good introduction to Okabe as a character. Um, if that short story was meant as was a interesting little character introduction to Okabe, and I have to say, what a neat little thing to do before the release of a game of introducing people to a brand new character via the lens of a character they're already familiar with Elise, and showcase how like kooky he is, how crazy he is, and also give some intrigue of like how did he know exactly the whole earthquake in Shibuya was going to happen or something like that. Um, but yeah, that was actually very interesting and a lot of fun. It was just a fun little short story. Like that's all it was, and it seems like there are more of those in the future. And once I get finished with those games, I would absolutely love to either read them or watch them, depending on what is out there. If I have to read them, I'll read them. I mean, I'm already reading the visual novel, so it's a proper novel. I mean, yeah, I'm down to do that. But we were going ahead and skipping through most of the game in order to get ending B, which is a certain number of delusions we have to trigger in order to get ending B before we properly move on to the main routes within this game. So, enough talking. Let's just get into the skipping, shall we? No, I completely forgot to write down all of my choices in the game since there's a lot of them. So I'll go for red. And we'll see what happens. Let's see if this is new or not. It is. I had to say something. I had to say something. But what should I say? The more I thought about it, the more trapped I felt, and the more my mind went blank. Damn. Suddenly Remy sniffled. I was so surprised I looked up out of reflux. Oh, she was crying. I don't know why, but tears were falling from her eyes in large drops. I was getting increasingly confused, but I stayed silent like an idiot, unable to think of anything else to do. Remy murmured in a shaky voice. Damn. Remy turned on her heel and quickly made her way out of the classroom. I wanted to yell after her. No, you're wrong, I wanted to say. I don't hate you at all, I just had no idea what to do or say. I waffled over whether or not I should chase after her, but in the end I couldn't leave my seat. If I did chase after her, what would I even say? Could I even say anything? Seriously, what would I even say? I like you, I'm glad we're friends. I couldn't do that. I didn't know her. It was true that I'd been saved thanks to her. But to me, she was still some mystery person who'd appeared completely out of nowhere. I know you probably hate me, was what she said, but I couldn't tell her whether or not that was true. After all, I didn't have the memories to help me decide whether I hated her or liked her. That was when Masumi-kun, who was supposed to have been with the transfer student, came back. He gave me a sympathetic look.
前に俺に相談してきてたんだぜ。タクのことが好きなんだけど全然気づいてもらえない。
Really drive home this delusion, huh? What the hell? When had that happened? How in my head and shook with violently.
だってわからないんだ。さっぱりわからないんだよ。
わかるかわからないか、そんな理屈の話じゃねえだろ。ま、結局お前は一生ニートやってろってこった。
After that, I didn't get the chance to talk to Remy all the way until I graduated. Even when we saw each other in class, we would both avoid each other. And then, after graduation, I became a NEET, just like Musumi-kun had predicted. And I never saw Remy again for the rest of my life. So that's what the bad end would probably be like. Pretty damn depressing. Well, still think the bad ending here is pretty more depressing. But it was still true that I didn't know anything about Remy. Like I thought, the only option I had was to just keep quiet and not do anything.
Taku?
Remy, who had been silent the entire time, finally called out to me, albeit hesitantly. But I couldn't respond due to how sudden it was. To her, I probably felt like I was ignoring her. In my head, I knew I couldn't keep acting like this, but in the end, I still couldn't get myself to do anything.
大丈夫?
This time, I nodded frantically. Probably made me look pretty suspicious.
そうだったらいいんだ。
Remy's voice was gentle. I could hardly believe it, but she seemed like she was going to continue patiently being with me, even though I was being silent. Are you okay? Was what she said. I felt a sudden urge to ask her something. I wanted to ask, back when we met in 107, what did it look like to you? Okay, there we go. It's nice to see these other delusions, because they add just a little bit more, I wouldn't say context, but more like, just more to it, I have to say, like, 100%. Well, it's nice to see these scenes in brand new lights. Shit, this one. White chain going under legs. I don't think this is one of the things. Nope. Okay. Small flavored room in the police. Okay. I think I chose good for last one. I mean, yeah, last one because I chose back. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Hey, here we go. I automatically stopped dead in my tracks. Thoughts ran through my head frantically. If I ran away, what would she do? Would she swing her disc sword at me while she chased me? When I tried to envision it happening, it freaked me out way too much, so I hurriedly shook the delusion out of my head. Conversely, what if I were just to walk straight in instead? She would get a much better impression of me. Maybe then she wouldn't be so violent. Maybe she'd even be in a good enough mood that she'd be interested in selling her disc sword to me. I didn't think that she'd give it up that easily, but maybe I could at least get her to tell me where she brought it from. On top of that, she seemed to have been waiting for me. In other words, that meant she'd taken some form of interest in me. She looked scary, but as was often the case with tsundere types, she might have actually been pretty nice in reality. That could just be wishful thinking, though. Then again, it wasn't like I was going to get called just because I went inside. Surely that was true. We were right in the middle of Shibuya, after all, right in front of the Hachiko statue. There were tons of people surrounding us. Killing me in public, in front of all of them, would have been suicide. I took a single deep breath, gathered my resolve, and then I stepped onto the train. Okay, there we go. Okay, not much to that one. What's up, nurse? Yup. Schizo lamboins, yup. Emailing, yup. Cafes, MMOs, yup. Chose bad for that one. I think I chose good for... Oh, small private room. Okay, I think I have to go neutral on this. Yes, neutral. So I can probably skip most of this, can I? Okay, here we go. What do I do? What should I do? I tried desperately to think of a way out of the situation, but it was no use. I couldn't think clearly. She had taken me completely by surprise. My mind had gone completely blank.
昨日あなたの家に行ったんですけどいませんでしたよね。夜まで待ってたんですけど。
Damn.
でも私を避けようとする西条くんの気持ちはよくわかります。私西条くんのこと騙してたわけだし。
If you acknowledge that, then just stay away from me. I have nothing to say to any of the Shogun's underlings. Anyone who traps a weak person like me is a demon. Yua looked down once. She looked like she was hesitating to say something. But then, after a moment, she very clearly said a single phrase.
その目誰なの？
Oh boy.
知ってますよね。知らないなんて言わせません。ヴァンパイアのダイイングメッセージです。ネットで公表されたことで渋谷で大流行中の言葉。でも私流行る前から知ってました。
Oh shit.
ヴァンパイアより前にこの言葉を使っている人がいたから。将軍。
Yep.
前に見せましたよね。ナイトハルト、西条君と将軍のチャットログ。そこで将軍が書き込んでました。その目誰の目って。そして
Yua inched her face closer and closer to mine. Her tone of voice was calm, but the eyes shining behind her glasses were ice cold. She was staring at me. I looked away.
将軍はあなた。つまり
In other words, what?
お願いです、西条君。もう
Oh, okay. Yeah, multiple. You know what? Yua was kind of white. But it's not multiple personalities. It's way more than just fucking that. I can tell you that very much. Oh, the police. This is, negative, right? Yes. Okay. Go with negative here. Let's see if I did this beforehand. I didn't. Terrifying thoughts ran through my head. I sat up and looked around the park once again. The man who had been sitting on a bench while staring at his cell phone was taking quick glances at me, or at least that was what it felt like. Right then, a man with a stern face entered the park and sat down on the pipe-ish fence, opened a newspaper, and started reading. In a dark place with next to no street lights, a man, seemingly a businessman who had been walking quickly through the park, was now standing at the edge of the overpass, gazing down at the street below. The policeman who had been talking to the homeless man was now looking at me while contacting someone on his police radio. Cold sweat crept down my back. No. Were these guys cops? Maybe they were tailing me. If that was true, I was completely surrounded. You had already made up her mind and decided that I was a murderer, and then, based on her delusion, she'd probably gone and reported it to the police.
ふざけんな。
I couldn't help but mutter that out loud, albeit at a volume low enough so that no one could hear me. Was this another part of Shogun's evil plan? I didn't do it. I didn't kill anyone. I'm not the murderer. Why should I, a coward who can talk to people worth shit, be treated like a murderer and then subsequently chased by the police? Why did I have to get caught up in Yua's insane delusional bullshit? Regardless, I couldn't stay here. My chest still hadn't stopped pounding and hurt to breathe, but I still had to get out of here. I made my way over the overpass, trying my best to look as natural as possible. Right in front of me was a staircase leading down to Meiji Dori. I'd go down it, then I'd escape using the road. As I reached the middle of the overpass, a new figure appeared on the stairs. It was a woman, judging from the suit, an office worker. She was holding a cell phone to her ear and talking with a blank expression on her face as she walked up the stairs. Could she be a detective too? I passed by her, my heart pounding the entire time. Why the hell did that remind me of Morika? Or Kiryu Morika. Was that her name? I'm pretty sure that was her name, Morika.
その目誰の目
Oh.
っていう T シャツが流行ってるわよ。 今度の日曜日に買いに行くわ。原宿の竹下通りに売っているから。
I felt really uncomfortable. Her speaking style was really awkward. It felt strangely theatrical. Who the hell was she talking to anyway? Who was on the other end of the phone? Was she even talking to anyone at all? Wait, I think she never talked. I could never talk. She texted. But in the end, the woman took no action against me. Probably just fought of a businesswoman with using a phone. I finally made it to the stairs, and it was with relative ease. Upon reaching them, I looked back toward the park. The cop wasn't following me. He was standing in the same place as before, still talking to his police radio. One of the homeless people who had been sitting on the ground was starting to get up, but none of the other homeless people were moving. But then, before I knew it, the man on the bench and the man reading the newspaper both got up and started walking towards me. Also, I can finally read the sign. The, not you, Senna's dad is. The great king of terror has changed the city, huh? The two men then glanced at each other. They were exchanging looks, or at least it seemed like it. I then turned my gaze to the office worker once again. She had passed me a few moments ago, but now she turned her head to look at me. The second our eyes met, she turned back away with a start. Her cell phone was still held up to her ear, but she wasn't speaking anymore. I was hit with an amount of fear that I had never experienced before, and I immediately bolted down the stairs. As I ran down Meiji Dory towards the station, I looked up at the overpass. The office worker was leaning over the railing, pointing at me. And it wasn't just her. Two men were sprinting across the overpass. They really were cops. All of them were cops. Shit. This is all you was for. She had set me up. Either that or Nozomi. Should I just tell them I was innocent? But even if I did, I couldn't get away from the fact that I was literally running away from the police right now. Besides, I was sure that the police would find some way to pin it on me regardless. They would never believe an otaku freak like me. I didn't have time to think about what would happen next. For now, I just needed to get away from you and the police. That was the sole thought occupying my mind. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so small room and the police. Did I choose... I think I chose good. No, wait. Maybe I chose, like, neutral here? Fuck. I'm gonna go with good and see what happens. Maybe I chose negative last time, or maybe I chose good. I can't remember. Nope, I was right. That camisole with its cross-shaped design was downright criminal. And I couldn't help but think that it didn't look like she was wearing a bra underneath. Maybe she really wasn't wearing a bra. That would be very interesting, I think. What kind of underwear did Fess usually wear, I wondered? Probably the sexy kind, like black or red. But personally, I want them to be nice and clean white. That was it. God damn it, Takumi. I see. Okay. Alright. Okay, so the quote is, okay, I see. Was Fess wearing only white lingerie? Fess was standing right beside me. Fess was standing on the stairs right in front of me. Two of the same person in the same place. Not only that, but one of them was incredibly sexy, wearing only her underwear. Completely and utterly frustrated, I wonderfully snapped back and forth between the two Fesses over and over again, comparing them. They were exactly the same, right down to their facial features, heights, and hairstyles. The only differences were their clothes and whether or not they were carrying a sword. They weren't twins or anything like that, and they didn't just look alike. They were one and the same. I was used to seeing girls in the underwear in a loge, but here I couldn't handle it for some reason. Yeah, because it's real life. I'd run into Nanami. Oh my god. The things I read. I had run into Nanami's. Oh my god. I had run into Nanami's piss-smelling underwear countless times, so you'd think this would be no big deal, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get myself to follow that line of logic. Yeah, because she was your sister. Vess was standing in the middle of this disgusting underpass in only her underwear. I felt like I was about to lose my mind from how unbelievable that situation was. Even though I knew I shouldn't look at her, I couldn't help but feel like I was this close to stealing a glance anyway. It took an insane amount of willpower to keep my eyes down.
ごめん
I automatically apologized. Because I knew that only a few minutes ago I had a delusion about this very thing. Fess wearing white lingerie.
君が望んだ妄想。
Actually, this does add a lot. It does showcase synchronized illusions really well. Like Fess said, like, oh, okay, I'm going to split myself in half or have another Konomi go down. Or Takumi wished to see her in white underwear. The two Fesses said this at the same time, as if they could see right through me. I jumped, startled, could feel my face rapidly turning red. I needed an excuse. I needed a way out of this. If a 3D girl labeled me as a pervert, it'd be over. I'd be socially mutilated. Okay, wait. While they may be important, the more pressing matter is what the hell is happening? Here's the banjo. Banjo, the banjo.
なぜこの渋谷という場所は若者たちをこんなにも引きつけると思う
So in a way, the conversation I was having with Fess transitioned into something completely unrelated. But I was actually somewhat relieved by that. I expected Fess to start treating me like a pervert, but she just ignored it like nothing had even happened.
日本いいえ世界を見渡してみてこんな場所他になかなかないわ
Yep. Did this have something to do with this swords? If not, then I didn't care. I had to somehow find a way to get Fess to tell me how to get my hands on a real disc sword.
新宿でも池袋でもなくて渋谷この街の名前はどれより聞いてしまうくらい
Both in front and behind me, the same words are being spoken from the two Fesses at the exact same time. Also, let me just say this right now. I'm pretty sure there wasn't the CG last time. I think there wasn't a CG last time. I think it was just two sprites of fucking Elise here, right? Or Kishimoto. So, I mean, hey, most artists are perverts. Let's be honest here. let's be honest here. Perfect synchronization gave me a strange feeling. Had Fess split in half? Were both of them the real Fess, or were both of them imposters?
日本中の人たちに刻まれているのは若者の街という疑問なぜかしら
Why? Well, that has absolutely nothing to do with me.
ファッションの街だからお店がたくさんあるから流行の発信者だからよくテレビに映るから交通の便がいいから
I know most of this is familiar, but come on, guys, we can't skip this. We gotta see fucking Kishimoto in her underwear. This is new content. The two Fesses paused for a moment. Being watched from both in front and behind started to make me feel very uncomfortable.
大いなる意志よ高次存在もっとわかりやすく言えば神による意志だ
This is bad. My rational side warned me. Could this be... Maybe she was trying to recruit me into some sketchy religious cult. Began to feel uneasy. Man, maybe I should just get the heck out of here. But upon hearing the next thing Fess said to me, I realized I no longer had that option.
理想度もまたその意志による一撃よ
Mm-hmm. That's what Louise believes it is. And back to Disco Elysium. Or should I say Columbo? Flashing lights, whoa, YouTube video, whoa, jumping suicide, chapter 5, so much information! Okay, so we're at chapter 5. Let's see what we got to do here. Discourage, I hung up the phone. Why were they fixated on me? Gotcha. Okay. Let's go with a or negative. I left the classroom and started heading towards the school entrance. But partway there, I changed my mind and instead turned and headed towards the building where the first year classrooms were located. I figured it might be a better idea to avoid the entrance I usually took. Could rule out the possibility that Shogun and Yua were lying wait to ambush me. So I opted to leave using a different route. I made my way to the first year building via the breezeway. The final bell had already rung a little bit ago, so while the students on cleaning duty or doing club shit were still around, basically everyone who opted to go straight home already had. School always felt somewhat lonely, or even wistful after the final bell rang. No matter where I went, it always felt that way, whether they were ancient buildings made out of wood or newer structures like Sumarai. Well, not that I ever set foot in any wooden school buildings in anything other than a logo. Regardless, the school's interior was simmering under a thick veil of silence. I walked quickly down the hall, surrounded by that silence, trying my best to keep my footsteps as quiet as possible. The setting sun shining through the windows that warmed me. Typically, I kept my head well while I walked, but since there weren't any other students, I opted to keep my eyes focused on what was ahead of me. This allowed me the chance to survey my environment, ensuring that there were no suspicious figures working about. I heard something. Gee, I wonder what that is. A sound. What was that? I feel like I've heard it before. Immediately after I heard it, I saw something cross the hallway of the first year building in front of me. It was an empty wheelchair. The video of the group dive I'd watched yesterday resurfaced in my mind. A chill ran down my spine and I froze. The wheelchair finished crossing the hallway and then it disappeared from sight. Damn! And right after it did, I heard an insanely loud sound. Someone settled back on the campus. I took a second to catch my breath, and then I looked in the direction where the sound had come from. What was that just now? Why was there a wheelchair in the school? Not to mention one with nobody sitting in it. The crash I heard at the end was probably the sound of the wheelchair falling down the stairs. With the noise it made, it must have taken a fair deal of damage. It wouldn't surprise me if it had been rendered practically unusable. I quickly looked around me. Rather than being calming, the sounds only made my fear skyrocket. I at least knew that I couldn't see anyone moving from my current position. However, I felt a gaze. Don't look at me. Oh God, Shogun. He had come here, to the school? Why had he come here? Was it to meet with Yua? Was it to meet with me? I took a step back. And nearly toppled over. However, I somehow managed to keep my balance. I was thoroughly creeped out. Was he trying to harass me? Why wasn't he showing his face? It would have been so much more bearable if he had just showed himself. Fucking Harmon Smith. I was hit with an intense wave of nausea. I wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. Covering my mouth, I moved back to where I come from. I bolted down the stairs and out the building. I ran through the courtyard with no real destination in mind until I could no longer hold back the urge to vomit. The second I fell to my knees, the entire contents of my stomach began spilling out. Ugh. Oh, that is a hell of a sound. Ugh. Yeah, beautiful scene. Very cute. Love Remy. Okay. Okay, I remember this. I picked good. I remember this one. Trust me, I remember this delusion. Oh boy, I remember that delusion. Let's go with bad this time.
叩き割ってあげる。
はい。
Destroy it? Destroy what? They came out of nowhere. I never would have thought Remy was the type to act like such a DQM. Despite my confusion, Remy continued to talk very seriously.
その CD を持ってる人は呪われちゃうの。たく知らなかったでしょ。私の調べた情報によるとね、ニュージェネの被害者はみんなその CD を買った人なの。フェスの予定は CD を買った人にだけ当てはまる。
Oh shit, it's like fucking Ring.
フェスの呪いなの。
That couldn't be.
ニュージェネ事件は全部フェスの仕業。急がないと次に死ぬのタクだよ。 おーい。
So in a way, I came back to myself. Rumi was waving her hand in front of my face, her eyebrows furrowed in confusion.
どうしたの？急に意識がどこかに飛んじゃってたみたいだけど。
いや、なんでも。
What was up with that delusion? I felt like I was going to piss myself.
その調子だと話聞いてなかったでしょ。
うん。
じゃあもう一回言うけど、私のお気に入り CD を貸すっていうので手を打ってくれないかな。
は？
ねえねえ、いいでしょ？お願いします、この通り。
あ。
But life was a cruel mistress, though I suppose it was my fault for expecting anything. When I agreed to Remy's proposal, she right away struck a victory pose. That sight was so amusing to me that despite the critical situation I was in, I couldn't help but laugh. Here's all my freaky shit. Now we gotta stop here, fellas. Hold up. Wait a minute. Back then, Oisa cornered herself right before my very eyes. I didn't witness the exact moment when it happened. All I knew was that when I turned around, another Oisa was there, and she'd been wearing lingerie for some reason. She had also shown me how she pulled her disc sword out of thin air. There had been neither hallucination or delusion. After showing me something like that, there was no way I could still label her as a mental case. However, Oisa had also said this. That strange phenomenon, had it been my tuition coming to fruition? Immediately right before it happened, I had been pondering about the color of Oisa's underwear. Maybe that was what Elise had been talking about when she mentioned the power that projected delusions into reality. Maybe I had that power. Yeah, well, anyway. Oh, for example, I think this is for example. No, I was probably just jumping to conclusions. Never mind. So I gotta know. Here's another example. Okay, positive. That's positive. Gotcha. I think go with good. Let's see what we get here. Leaving Remy to stare at the PC screen with her eyebrows furrowed, I picked up the toy disc sword sitting in the corner of my room. I went to stand in the center of my room and brought my sword to eye level like I was an ESO character. Closed my eyes. I tried to conjure the image of a sword in my mind. I naturally imagined it to be something similar to the beautiful, sinister swords that Senator Weiss had, each complete with a sharpness that could sever anything it touched. Having delusions was my specialty. After all, I had all sorts of delusions on a daily basis. If I wanted to, I could recreate every single detail both vividly and clearly in my head. Once the image was as precise as it was going to get, I planted my feet, gritted my teeth, and tried grasping the sword with the power I now held in my hands. Become real, 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 become real. I prayed inside my head, devoting all my thoughts towards that one single wish. What I'm holding is a real disc sword. It's not fake, it's real. I infused the strength of my entire being into the blade. Come, reveal yourself to me. Grant me salvation, protect me. I slowly opened my eyes. The sword I was holding hadn't changed whatsoever. It was still the same cheap-ass toy.
そりゃそうだよな。
There was no such thing as an evil eye-esque psychic power that turned delusions into reality. It was way too chuny. What was I, 5? Felt ashamed to have ever thought I held such a power. Heaving a long sigh, I lowered the sword. But right as I did, I sensed a gaze behind me. I could feel chills on the back of my neck, goosebumps rose across the entirety of my body. The gaze again? That was a clear sign. A sign that right at that moment someone was watching me. Don't look at me. I wasn't going to turn around. Like I'd ever turn around. Not only had I sensed a presence, but I heard a voice as well. Though to be precise, it hadn't been exactly a voice, been closer to a sigh. Don't tell me. I might have made a terrible mistake. I slowly, ever so slowly, turned around. Gee, I wonder who the hell it is. And there was Remy, staring right at me. So that was it. No wonder the sense of presence had been more intense than usual. Granted, that only made sense, considering I wasn't just feeling like I was being watched, I was being watched. This was definitely going to get confusing. Oh god, had Remy seen me go for Chumbio, brandishing a sword and all that from start to finish? I was going to die for embarrassment. Except, something was off about her. Remy's brow furrowed and she stared at me without blinking even once. However, it wasn't me she was looking at, but the object I held, the toy disc sword. Why did she look so serious? Ooh, it felt like she was an entirely different person from the one I'd been getting all confused about patents earlier. Who? An unpleasant memory flashed through my mind. Remy was on my side. She was supposed to be. However, I still hadn't solved the mystery surrounding her. Did Remy know something about disc swords? With a gulp, I nervously called out to her.
Taku.
Her gaze still fixated on me. Remy opened her mouth. Her voice was stifled, devoid of any and all emotion.
その件だけど
Remy was my ally, wasn't she? She wouldn't betray me like you would she? If even Remy betrayed me, I'd...
捨てた方がいいと思う
Of course she would say that. My voice nearly cracked. Did Remy know something after all?
だって
Remy's gaze finally moved, but this time it landed squarely in my eyes. I hurriedly averted my own. What was she going to say?
だってもう高校生だし
Remy suddenly broke into her grin. Very mischievous grin. The abrupt change in demeanor left me speechless.
そりゃ男の子っていくつになってもそういうおもちゃが大好きなんだなってのはなんとなくわかるけどさすがにそんな大きなおもちゃ一人で部屋で振り回してるのはどうかと思うよそれが許されるのは小学生までじゃないでもタクの個人的な趣味を私の前で披露してくれたってのはちょっと嬉しいかも私にだけ秘密を教えてくれたみたいで
What the hell, man? I got all scared for no reason. You know, with hindsight, this is an entirely new White. This is great to actually see. Because we got both, like, you know, these are different scenes, obviously. But with the knowledge we already have of Remy was trying to prevent Takumi from activating this disorder due to, you know, Shogun's existence, and the more he activates, the more he dies, right? It makes a ton of sense that she dissuades him from activating his disorder because, well, she has one for herself. And, you know, she just... It's such an interesting relationship with Remy, Takumi, and Shogun. Because it's like an actual person trying to stop a fictional person from, like, going on their character arc. Maybe this is a little too meta for this game, but how I see this is Takumi is the delusion of Shogun, right? And Shogun wants Takumi to activate his sword, to, you know, give in to the emotion of fear, to... Basically, Shogun is the call to action in the hero's journey. I mean, that's the very beginning of the story. The call to action was Shogun. That starts the story. And Shogun, throughout this entire game, is trying to get Takumi to go on his character arc, on his hero's journey to activate his Discord and to stop Nezumi and destroy Noah 2. That's the hero's journey. That's a character arc. But Remy is trying to protect that, trying to prevent him from doing that. She is quite literally trying to prevent him from going on his journey because it will get himself killed in the end. I guess in that sense, Remy is a representative of 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 I of staying in the past, I guess I could say. Staying in the past and not changing because the future is so uncertain. You know, like, obviously she doesn't want Shogun to die. Neither, I don't think she wants Takumi to die either. But if he gets too much power, she has to kill him because he's a unknown variable. He is a delusional existence. He is not a real person. He wasn't born, you know? And it's like, do you stay in the past with what you know already, or do you go into an uncertain future where you don't know what's going to happen? I feel like that's what Remy represents, and it's such an interesting dynamic between the three of them. Of Shogun wanting to complete this story, Takumi being the protagonist, and Remy trying to prevent the story from happening, trying to prevent Takumi from going on his journey. I probably put that in a way more meta aspect than it really is, but it really does feel like that to me. I don't know. It's just my crazy thoughts, as per fucking usual. Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Fucking. Did I pick good or bad for this one? I don't know. Let's pick good. Let's see what happens. Okay, I did. Yeah. Yeah. Boop, boop, boop. Numbskull, boop, boop. Doctor's dead. Yep, homeless. Beat the shit out of people. Yep. Dead. Fucking awesome. Fucking Devil May Cry. Yep. Fucking desk swam. Here we go. So negative. Wait. Did I miss? Here's another example. Shit, I guess I did. Well, I need to get at least 10 out of 18. So I feel like we should be good. So this is what? Negative. Gotcha. Sorry, Kazubi. Okay, well, I already fucking did it last time. Okay, so that's it for chapter 5. Now on to chapter 6, which thankfully I wrote down the correct path in order to get the good ending instead of the bad one. Hospital, the insane asylum, phone, earthquake, and Noah, and then whoa shit! This is when I thought the game was actually going to end, but psych, bitch! Like 4 more chapters. Yep. Whoa. Okay. Discourage, I hung up the phone. This is positive. Shit. Remy. It was as if my prayers had been answered, like the cries of my heart had been heard. Remy really did always appear when I was in trouble. She opened the door and wept into my room.
デイビー助けて
Remy looked straight at me, then quickly examined our surroundings. Immediately realizing the source of terror was my PC, began typing on the keyboard with an angry expression.
こういう時はきつく言った方がいいよ。
Remy looked back at me and smiled gently.
こう言っておけば案外あっさり引き下がるでしょ。
Was that really how it worked? Remy was only that reckless because she didn't know much about the internet. Being that blunt would only make the other person even madder. And here the other person was Shogun. As I stared at the monitor with bated breath, Shogun sent yet another message. The room went silent. What the hell? I knew it. Really had pissed him off. The tone of his last message was very cruelly different.
どうせ口だけだよ、口だけ。まさかここに直接押しかけてくるなんてことはないって。それよりタク、大丈夫だった？ごめんね、電話くれたでしょ。ちょうどこっちに向かってるところだったから出られなかった。さっきの地震の後、タクが心配になってここまで全力疾走してきたんだ。来てよかった。
While I was listening to Remy's voice, I couldn't take my eyes off the monitor. His message had left me deeply unsettled. You're dead.
なんてこと。
私が来たからもう平気だよ。何の心配もないから。
なんてことしてくれたんだよ。
You know what? I think this is a very intentional character design choice. Both Remy and Saratan's hair color are both bright pink. I think that's supposed to represent both, you know, fucking Takumi's type, right? But also, they're both characters that want Takumi to stay in the past. Saratan kind of represents Takumi's want to be the NEET forever, to stay in his shipping container forever, to jack off to 2D girls all the time. Remy wants him to stay this way, to be just a normal high schooler, just to be a normal teenage boy, not to go into this conspiracy with organizations, to activate this hidden power within himself, become a gigalomaniac. They're both representative of that, of staying in the past with having no changes. I think that's I feel like very much intentional with the character designs. Like, you know.
殺される。あいつに殺される。早く逃げないと。
落ち着いて。殺されなんてしないよ。タクの考えすぎ。
Oh. Suddenly Rooney went silent. Her eyebrows furrowed and she looked up at the ceiling.
どうしたの？
その目。誰の目？
Whoa. Her voice was a soft murmur. Suddenly Remy's face contorted and she grabbed at her head with both hands. Oh shit.
頭、急に痛くなってきた。
Unable to endure the pain anymore, Remy fell to the floor. She was shaking her head madly. Oh, is her personality fucking up? Don't tell me. My gaze shot towards the ceiling. No, not the ceiling, towards the sky, beyond the ceiling, towards an artificial satellite that may not exist. Was Shogun attacking? Oh shit. A drop of blood fell from Remy's nose. Oh shit. Suddenly her half moans, half screams ceased. Remy's body shook violently as she staggered, and then she dropped to the floor head first. Fuck!
リミ
There was no answer. She didn't even twitch. He'd killed her. Using a satellite, using EM waves, Shogun had killed Remy. How? That'd been so quiet. He killed Remy with neither sound nor smell, without even a hint of his presence. It'd been way too quiet, but that only made it more terrifying. There was no escape. I kneeled to the floor and shook Remy's shoulder.
ねえ起きてよリミ
Oh, there was no escape. No matter where I went on Earth, there would be no escape.
僕を置いていかないでよ
Wherever I would try to free, Shogun would be able to attack from high above in the sky.
こんなのこんなの妄想に決まってる
Shit. Oh. When I returned to my senses, I was still in front of the monitor. Damn, I really thought that was happening because it kind of lined up a bit with Remy. The answer Remy had when earlier had vanished. And Shogun's "you're dead" had too. I looked back towards the rest of my room and Remy's body was nowhere to be found. I felt relieved that Remy wasn't actually dead, but I was disappointed that she hadn't shown up. Why? Why wasn't she here yet? I was absolutely terrified. I needed her now more than ever. Yep, here we go. Here we go. With this, forward bed. Yep. Nozomi. Yep, back at the park.
お前だな。
Let's see. Discourage, I hung up the phone. Okay, why were they fixated on me? Okay, good. I could feel Senna's breath on my cheeks. Just the thought of her only needing to move a bit closer to rip my throat out with her teeth generally terrified me. Staring at me with at point blank range, Senna. Whoa! Damn, with tongue! Holy shit! I felt something soft press against my lips. I had no idea what was going on. All I knew was that I couldn't breathe and I was getting really dizzy. I tried to push myself away from her, but Senna was still grabbing me by the chest so I couldn't move. Oh, damn. Something began wriggling restfully against my lips, and then it penetrated my mouth. God damn, what words. It twisted roughly around my tongue, slid across my gums, and violated me orally. Whoa. I don't know what was going on. All I knew was, for some reason, it felt really good. But I still was having trouble breathing. I was about to pass out. But just before I would have, the lingering object left my mouth. Damn! Senna's lips glistened with saliva. She had been staring at me with murderous eyes only a few moments ago, but now her eyes looked utterly enchanted. Wait, had she just kissed me? That wasn't a kiss. That was tongue fucking.
お前こそ勇者。お前の力を私に貸せ。私と一緒に戦え。拒否するのは許さない。
After rattling off that insanity and angry voice, Senna brought her face to mine once again. She pressed her lips madly against mine and violated my mouth. Her hot breaths and sweet saliva tickled past my lips. Sometimes I think, what the fuck am I reading?
私は勇者に純潔を捧げるために生まれてきた巫女だ。
In a state of pure ecstasy, she rattled off line after line that made me think, what a look is this?
お前がいないとこの戦いには勝てない。さあ、血の契約を交わそう。
Senna's teeth sank deeply into my lip. Oh, pain shot through me and the taste of blood split from inside my mouth. Damn! Whoa, whoa! Did she have any idea how to ask someone something? Even if she did, everything she said was completely absurd. But the sensation of basically getting reverse raped. Well, to be blunt, I was hard as a rock. I couldn't get into this kind of roleplay.
おい無視するな
Oh my fucking god. Fuck, man. I shot back to my senses. Senna was still grabbing me by the chest, and she had still had me pinned to the playground equipment. And her face was still really close. Our eyes met, and my face went hot.
その力のこと誰に教わったんだって聞いているんだ
I didn't remember her asking anything like that. Maybe that scenario familiar was just a delusion I used to escape reality? Maybe? Despite me starting to wrap my head around the situation, Senna didn't seem to care and started shaking me violently.
誰からだ答えろ転生振興会とは関係あるのかないのか
The Divine Church of the what now? Shook my head reflexively. I can't breathe. You're choking me. I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna die. I'm done for. Damn, what a CG. Just before I lost consciousness, Senna suddenly let go of me and I collapsed to the ground. Man. This game really showcases, like, you thought Steins Gate was risque? Oh boy, you don't fucking prepare for chaos. I mean, there's still that one scene of, Okabe checking, God, what was his name again? I can't remember. What the fuck was his name? The shrine, girl, shrine maiden. I can't remember. But, checking, see if their gender had changed. I still remember that fucking part. If you couldn't handle that, you couldn't survive this fucking game, that's for sure. Goddamn, it's only CGs. Well, there's also that scene of fucking, I think it was, God, Suhaina being, like, naked in the shower and fighting against an assassin. That was yeah, it turned out to be Moika as well. Yeah, I remember that as well. Hey, you just gotta have those scenes in visual novels, okay? You just gotta have them. It's just a part of it, huh? Gets on coughing, struggling desperately to get oxygen in my lungs. Was Senna my enemy after all? Was she another one of Shogun's underlings? She was, and I had to run away.
関係ないならいい悪かった
Noticing my confusion, Senna clicked her tongue lightly and let out a sigh. And then, without saying another word, she went to leave. Yep, yeah. Oh, the hell? Sua and Hazuki suddenly went silent and looked up at the ceiling. They then looked back down and stared at each other. Oh, that's right. They're both part of the Divine Church. That's why they had this fucking conversation. God damn it, that makes so much sense in hindsight. Oh, what is this music? After suicide, Hazuki's perplexed expression suddenly changed.
見られていたな
Oh?
その目誰の目
What? Suddenly an air of familiarity was injected into the words that the two exchanged. The sense that the two could not be anything other than old friends was woven into their every word.
西條匠のオリジナルは見つかったか
Son of a bitch. I kind of love that, actually. Oh, like, you're just skipping through a game, like, it's going super fast, and then it just stops at a random scene. That's good. I like that a lot, actually.
いいえこの病院内にいることは分かっているの
So they can tell when they're being watched. Interesting. Holy shit.
これカルテよ
彼は無遊病だわ。
In sharp contrast to how hesitant she had been to hand it over before, Hazuki readily passed the medical record to Suwa. She already had it in her possession, as if she had somehow predicted that Suwa would pay her a visit.
助かる。じゃあ予定通りにオーフロントに奴を誘導して覚醒させるか。
Yeah, well, it was. Suwa was just a son of a bitch from the very beginning.
接
Forcing.
触するの？
ああ、顔は隠すけどな。
With the fucking Darth Spider mask. You know what? God damn it. The whole Darth Spider mask and Suwa saying his favorite series was fucking Space Wars or whatever the fucking, and it was his ringtone as well. I thought it was like, oh, it's just, you know, a little bit of world building, you know? There's just like a little tiny bit of world building of like, yeah, there is an actual like reason why there is a fucking helmet called Darth Spider in this universe. With a mischievous smile, Suwa placed a gentle kiss on Hazuki's lips. Okay, cool. I mean, that's a hell of a ship, but alright.
コスプレしてパーティーに出発だ。
Well then. Well, someone did have to chop off fucking Nanami's arm. So, yeah, Hazuki would make sense. Suwa acting as Darth Spider, pretending to be Oil Shogun or something. Nanami called. Whose phone was ringing, indeed. Why would they fixate it on me? Okay, that's just neutral. I think I went. Did I go good or bad for this? I can't fucking remember. I just go with good. When in doubt, go for good. Nanami still wasn't answering. Please pick up the phone already. I didn't. Oh, she picked up.
ななみ
Well, I think I went neutral on that.
ななみななみでしょ。返事しろよ。今どこにいるんだ。大丈夫なの。何か言って。ななみななみ。
実は
Huh? What the? Something weird was going on. It was almost like I was hearing Nanami not just through the phone, but from somewhere really close by, too.
お前一体どこにいるんだ。
あのね、上
Huh?
上
My gaze wandered upward. Something was moving on top of my bed. Person. Someone was wiggling around up there, and because of how little space they had, Woge cases crumbled to the floor as they did. Don't tell me.
そこにいるの。
見つかっちゃったって。
I guess I'd been right. Nanami peeked out from atop the bed with an apologetic look on her face. Had she just been hiding this whole time? But since when?
何がてへだよ。それより車椅子の怪しいやつに会わなかったか。
As she got off the bed, I examined her from top to bottom to see if she was hurt anywhere.
鬼、ちょっと落ち着いてってば。
聞いてるんだ。答えろよ。お前本当に大丈夫なのか。
それって将軍のことだよね。
まさかあったのか。どこで何をされた。
I grabbed Nanami by the shoulders, desperately pressing her for an answer. Jesus Christ, yes, Nanami could be a huge brat, but if Shogun had defiled her, it'd be all my fault. Shogun had put his hands on her as a means to provoke me. To him, she was just a collateral damage.
ごめん。
I was so ashamed I started to cry. I was causing problems not just for myself, but for those around me. Harmless otaku, my ass. I was a failure. Not just as a brother, but as a human being. I was scum. Complete and utter scum.
鬼、泣いてるの？もしかしてナナのことを心配してくれてる？
ごめん。 僕のせいで。
Oh.
泣かないでよ。困ったな。実はあの将軍のメール、ナナのいたずらなんだ。
は？
I couldn't process what she said. I was stunned.
つまり将軍ってナナだったの、最初からずっと。お兄があんまりにもナナの相手してくれないから、ちょっとからかうつもりでつい。だからね、ナナは誰にも何にもされてないし、全くピーピーしてるよ。お兄が泣くことなんてないの、わかった？
お前。
I was relieved. Upon worrying that she deceived me, the release of all my tension and fear made me cry even harder. I couldn't believe that she'd do that to me. I was pretty upset that she'd been screwing with me for so long, but none of that mattered right now.
ふざけんなよ。
Aw.
ごめん、本当にごめんね、お兄。差し入れ持ってきたから、それで許して。
She held her hands together as if in prayer as she apologized to me, and then she cheerfully took out a paper box that had been hidden in the corner. Inside the box were 4 tiny cakes, 2 Mont Blancs and 2 cheesecakes.
どう？美味しそうでしょ？まあ、当然だよね。
Swear,
ナナの手作りだもん。お兄のために作ったんだからね。
swear to God, if there's like a needle in here or if...
ほら、
What?
一緒に食べよう。
Nanami put the box on my desk, then placed 2 cakes each on 2 different paper plates that she set out. No idea where they come from, though.
ねえお兄、ナナのこと心配してくれてありがとう。すごく嬉しかった。お兄にもいいところあるじゃん。泣いちゃったのはちょっと情けなかったけどね。
Shut your mouth, you lying, backstabbing bitch. My pride had been torn to shreds. I've been deceived, betrayed, and I even ended up crying. Can't believe how pathetic I was, how stupid I was.
でもお兄がナナのお兄でよかった。
Oh. She smiled at me happily. It was a more peaceful sight than I was used to. How nice would it be if that was what actually happened? Yep. Yeah, that was nothing more than just an overly convenient, easy to swallow delusion of mine. Nanami's throwing I picked up, and the sound of someone's ringtone continued to echo throughout the room. The melody was a happy-go-lucky one, something that was in the harsh contrast to my current state of mind. A sense of dread within me was growing. There's no getting around it. Nanami's phone was in this room. I couldn't think of any other explanation, and I couldn't avert my eyes from reality anymore. Yep. Blah blah blah. Meanwhile, at the Evil HQ. Intermission, then rooftop, and then we have fucking Sue up here. Talking in his most evil fucking voice. Here we go. Okay, so this is neutral, if I remember. Yep, neutral. An idea. Okay. Just skip through that. Well. So that's what they're saying. It sounded like fans cheering from the bleachers at a soccer game, or maybe a volleyball game. The entirety of the DQNs had gathered in Scramble Crossing and all began chanting in unison. Maybe this was a planned part of the event, or maybe Shogun and I controlled them into doing it. They all followed the same rhythm as they raised their hands overhead and shouted the same words. They were all insane. I was horrified. The chant wasn't stopping. In the midst of their chant, I could hear the high-pitched voices of female DKNs.
こっち向いて。愛してる。
As I listened closely, I noticed the one thing they all had in common. They were all making fun of me. To them, they were just having fun and laughing to their heart's content. Everything was fine as long as they were having fun. A festival dedicated to my sacrifice. A true shit show. All I wanted to do was join in, make fun of myself the way everyone else was. Every last one of them was a DQN. Nobody would be coming to my rescue. Everyone who'd come here wished for my death. Crowd psychology was going to kill me. Not out of hatred or fury, but simply because that was what everyone else wanted to see. Yep. Alright, now on to the choices. The thing I wrote them down. So it's yes. It's 2 yeses. Sorrow sword, yes. 2 yeses. Then no. 2 no's. It's not actually a sword. 2 yeses. Okay, it's not actually a sword. Is yes, 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 yes. There we go. Alright. Now that we're past that, we can do whatever the fuck here. Because I don't think this says... Unless, yeah, no. Okay, let's just go with, like, let's go good. I think I went with neutral here anyway, so... Let's see here. Oh, well, no, I actually don't. Okay, Dark Spider, chapter 7. Chapter fucking 7. We're almost there, folks. Just a bit more. Suki, yeah. Female, huh? Bullshit, Azuki. What guard was? Why had I been brought here? Okay, this is negative.
警察の人が後でお話を聞きたいそうですよ。
Oh, damn. Hazuki's gentle tone turned cold. Without looking at me, she continued writing something on a piece of paper attached to a clipboard.
妹さんを殺すなんてひどい人ですね。
What had she just said?
あなたの家で見つかったそうですよ。
Oh.
死体。
What?
妹さんの手首を切り落として持ち歩いていたなんてまともじゃないわ。
僕は殺してない。
そう主張しているらしいですね。意味不明なことばかり言ってて話にならないって刑事さんがぼやいてました。心神喪失で無罪っていうのを狙ってるんですか？
Damn.
でもみんな思ってますよ。あなたが殺したんだって。
My chest squeezed tightly, and I began to hallucinate that everything before my eyes had gone completely black. I was starting to doubt myself. Had I killed Nanami? No, that couldn't be true.
人殺し。
She had been writing something, but suddenly Azuki's hand stopped. She then slowly turned the clipboard toward me. Huh. Suddenly, I realized I was sitting in the same bed in the same hospital room. I wasn't sure why the sheet I just whipped off of me was still on me. Hazuki-san, who had been standing right beside the bed, had disappeared before I could even blink. Wiping the greasy sweat off my forehead, I walked around the hospital room once again. After a couple of knocks, Hazuki-san entered the room, and her eyes widened slightly upon seeing me.
あら。西条さん、目が覚めたんですね。
A gentle smile accompanied her as she said that. I stiffened up and walked away.
お体の調子はどうですか？
Hazuki-san held out a thermometer to me so naturally I couldn't help but take it.
体温を測ってくださいね。
As I took the thermometer from her, I gulped. It's the same. The exact same thing from before was repeating. It was as if Hazuki-san just walked into the hospital room for the first time. Ooh. I nervously reached for the thermometer in my underarm. I was sure I put a thermometer in there just a minute ago, and yet there's nothing there. The thermometer had disappeared, which meant that what I'd seen earlier really had been a delusion. The tension in my body disappeared, but that didn't mean that my state of mind was any better, nor that I felt anywhere close to relieved. Interesting. Oh, so what's the fuck's up with the two buildings in the video? I'm still curious about that. What the hell? Like, how is that possible? You know? In the whole, like, next-gen murders, really. Obviously, Hazuki committed some of them. More surgical ones, obviously. But, like, what about the others? Like, the group suicide, you know? Regardless. Hey, Okay, so these are both negative. Okay, good to know. Okay, let's go with positive. See if I did that before. Nope. For example, wrapping my arms around one of the girls in my class and whispering dirty things ripped straight from the loge in their ear. Great starting point, Takumi. Real fucking crossy, man. If I could actually do that, I'd go straight to class in the morning to get in some public humiliation, boy. Well, only half paying attention. I looked around the classroom. Who would be a good target? Cute girl that wouldn't put up much of a fight sounded ideal. The DQN bitches were already out of the question. Even though they were all mere high school students, they all wore way too much makeup, rendering them not even remotely attractive. Oh, I know. Maybe the transfer student would be a good choice. From her glance, she looked to be quite docile, and her entire body gave up the aura of a lolly who is typically the #1 target of bullying. Additionally, she also had the clumsy girl attribute, which was super moe. Really, she was already virtually a 2D character. Yes, perhaps she really would be a good choice. Oh boy. Oh fuck here, oh boy. What have I done? I stood up. Oh, what? Hey, we're seeing all of it, okay? If I play a game, we see all of it, damn it. I stood up in a relaxed manner. The aura surrounding me had changed. Even the people who had been ridiculing and provoking me were startled by my sudden movement. In the end, you guys are all talk. But I'm different. I'm the type of man who acts, and now it's time to prove it to you. Oh boy. Without saying a single word, I made my way over to the transfer student's desk. She was sitting hunched over in her seat, face down. Noticing me approach, she looked up at me quizzically, and for some reason she already looked like she was about to cry. I then quickly grabbed both her slender arms. I then began to pull her toward me. She tried to resist me with her feeble strength. She alternated between looking at me and looking at her surroundings. Her confusion went all over her face. It was clear she had no idea what to do. Oh my god. I brought her in close and wrapped my arms around her quite forcefully. Oh my fucking god. Her body really was incredibly frail, to the point where I thought I might break her if I was too rough with her. She trembled like a chihuahua in my arms. But man, did she smell good. I nuzzled against her head, the top of which barely reached the bottom of my chin. I buried my nose in her soft hair and sniffed it. The transfer student was so terrified that she couldn't speak, that again I hadn't seen her talk even once before this anyway. She was still struggling and wriggling around in order to try and escape from my grip, but the strength she put forth was pitiful. I didn't exercise Norway at all, but even with zero muscle mass, I'd easily been able to subdue her. The DQ ones around me, likely taken aback by strange behavior, were all frozen in place. As the transfer student shook her head back and forth, I ran my tongue along her earlobe. Whoa. Her delicate body squirmed in my arms. What a delicious reaction. More. I couldn't get enough of it. I was getting more and more aroused. I decided not to think about the consequences, instead just choosing to follow through with my inner desires. First, the dirty talk. I was gonna make this timid transfer student say something indecent. Sexual desire or something else. The transfer student's face reddened. She shook her head even more desperately than before, tears welling up her inner eyes. Jesus. Her reluctance only served to feed my sadistic desire even more.
チンスコって言え。
チンスコ
Well, let's forget about that last one. As I slouched farther and farther into my seat, I tried to make the transfer and perform a number of humiliating acts in my head. I wasn't going to hold back anymore. My life was going to end out anyway. I might as well have a little bit of fun before it did. There's that dark side of talking me again. You know, it's always there. It's always there, you know. There's the fuckers and the shogun and yeah. About 5 minutes. Hey, okay. I went green with this one. I'm gonna go bad. Whatever. Okay, then. It's just Kazupi emoting. Okay, so is this Heian? Because it's someone speaking. The shape was falling. Okay, well. If I went with green for the last one, I would have gone with bad for this one. So, green again. Fuck it. Where in that tiny body was she hiding that kind of strength? From the looks of it, that thing has to weigh at least 5 kilograms. Kazupi, having literally read the question in my head, turned to me and smiled bashfully.
コズピーは匠さんを守るためだけに作られたアンドロイドなのら。
はい。
Had she just said android? What kind of anime plot one was that? Ignoring my disbelief, Kazupi clenched her hand into an adorable fist.
匠さん、もう安心なの。匠さんを狙う悪いやつはコズピーがドッカーンってするのら。
I feel like Kazupi is supposed to, like, be the annoying character with the way she talks, but, like, I find it cute. Honestly, I do.
ちなみにコズピーはメイド機能もあるの。だからこれから匠さんと一緒に住んで身の回りのお世話もしたいのら。
A maid function. I see. That would be convenient. I was willing to accept that Kazupi was an android on top of everything else. That is, if she fulfilled one non-negotiable condition. I wonder.
エッチなことをできる機能はありますか？
For whatever reason, I said all of that very formally. Also, Jesus Christ, what did I just ask her? While I was waffled on whether or not to apologize to her, Kazupi's cheeks turned bright red and her eyes shot downward.
エッチなこともできるの。夜のご奉仕頑張るの。
Ah, holy fuck! Made with combat abilities and the ability to perform nightly services? What kind of loge is this? She came in hands with perhaps too many optional features. Japanese technology is the best in the world! While I was having that idiotic delusion, Kazupi waltzed around the store like she owned the place, her footsteps light and bouncy. She didn't even attempt to try and hide her sword from the people around her, acting as if it was the most normal thing in the world. It'd been the same with Senna. She also been lugging around a gigantic sword in the middle of Shibuya with no regard to the people around her. Kazupi was way too calm, but her and Senna really were crazy. Okay. Okay, so give me the give me the fucking here's the flashback with Kazupi's cute little outfit. No, now it's time for ice cream. Ice cream time with sea salt ice cream. Hang out at the fucking Twilight Town clock tower. Okay, so this is negative.
あのよかったらどうぞ。
Okay, I'm pretty sure I did pick good for this one, so negative. I said it with good intentions in mind, but Senna simply took one look at me before ignoring the offer. And then, for some reason, she handed me a popsicle stick instead. Okay. Yeah, it was negative. Just making sure. She made no attempt to explain herself either. I wasn't sure what she was expecting, since I wasn't exactly going to get ecstatic over losing a popsicle stick that didn't even belong to me. Was she just suddenly ordering me to toss it in the trash can near the convenience store or something? Considering it was her and all, it generally wasn't a wild possibility. Senna must have had a whole host of meek male subjects that she used to do her dirty work. She was pretty much insulting me in my face. But just the thought of what she'd do if I defiled her scared me far too much, so I just bit my lip and put up with it.
私の勝ち。
Her gaze fixed on the sky that peeked through the buildings. Senna declared her supposed victory. With a sigh, I inadvertently looked down at the losing popsicle stick and gasped. Oh shit. What the hell was this?
先週出た渋谷限定品だ。ただの当たりより価値がある。
Senna had a smug expression on her face as she explained. Was she just trying to brag?
だから私の勝ち。
What the hell kind of a competition that she even won? Besides, I didn't want anything to do with these winning sticks, especially with how in poor taste they were. I was tempted to snap the stick in half on the spot, but I swallowed back my anger and returned it to Senna. Ooh, interesting. Huh. I'm thinking that the good delusion she didn't win. Or maybe she did still, but it wasn't... I don't think it was that, though. Alright, yep. Nami, yep. Chapter 8, yep. Smack, yep. Talking. God, it really does showcase, how much I talk during these, huh? If you could just fast forward for all of it. Well, almost at the end of the game already. Alright, so with Chapter 8, the hospital room, and, okay, so, hospital room, neutral, okay. Hospital room. Did I pick negative, or maybe I picked, yeah, whatever. Yep, I did, okay. Should have gone with good, blood, yep. Grim. Yep. Fucking strung up. Trauma, PTSD. Yep. Still fucking bad man on the watch. Yep. Keeping an eye on Whis. Probably couldn't see the sword well. Maybe he didn't activate his artificial Google Maniac at that time, which makes sense. Okay, giant robot thing, fucking whatever. Noah 2, IR 2, yep. Fucking talking about GE Racer or some bullshit. Yep. It's all like a video on Twitter of somebody retweeting something of like, oh, this is how I usually get through 90% of visual novels. I skim it, which so fucking stupid. In the first place, and somebody retweeted that with just this skipping mode of Chaos Ed, being like, yeah, this is how I went through go through my visual novels. It's so stupid. Why the fuck do people skim just like anything? You know, like people who like skip, like it's the most idiotic thing ever. Of like, if you're going to experience something, if you're going to watch a TV show or read a manga or read a fucking novel itself, why do you like do other shit when you're doing it? Like, sure, I can understand like putting on music while reading a book or a manga. I usually just have no sounds at all. I just want to focus all my attention on reading the fucking thing. But, like, looking at your phone while watching a movie, you're not watching the movie. You're just seeing parts of it. You're not enhanced with it. Or, like, people who skip around with episodes of TV shows. Stupidest shit ever. Like, it's like, this episode is filler, so skip that. Well, Unless it's like a shonen anime, and there is actually like filler episodes in there. I mean, I skipped all of the One Piece filler arcs and still got pretty much the One Piece story. But besides that, but like of like skipping like say live action shows, Lost for example, you can't really skip an episode. There isn't a quote unquote filler episode. You know, I hate the new term for filler. Filler is supposed to be it's a term used in animes when the anime has caught up with the manga and it needs to make more episodes in order for the manga to make new material so they can adapt it, right? That's the word for filler. It's literally there just to fill out an episode because they don't have any material to adapt at all or an arc to adapt. That's what filler is. A bad episode or a boring episode, that's not filler. That's just a bad or boring episode. It's still a part of the series, you know? Like, for example, there is The Walking Dead shows. Like, I've seen all of The Walking Dead, every single episode. There are bad episodes. There are boring episodes. 100%. And hell, you might even call one of them fucking filler. Fucking right episode with like Daryl and Carol. Like, oh, I hate that fucking episode. But still, it's not filler. I don't like it when people skim shit. Like, if you're going to read something, fucking read it. If you're going to watch something, fucking watch it. Don't skim it. Don't be like, oh, okay, skip this. I don't want to read an 80-hour visual novel. Wait, who do I look like to you, huh? A fucking nerd? That fucking quip pisses me off so much of a guy, like, going through, I think it was Wonderful Every Day down the rabbit hole. Right? And just like skipping through most of the fucking, you know, dialogue and fucking novel. I'm like, yeah, this is all the character development, but I don't want to go for an 80-hour visual novel. Fucking, why play it? What the fuck? Like, it's like skipping, like, I don't like, looks like chapter 2's boring. Let me just skip that and go to chapter 4. So fucking stupid. Anyway, ran over. Okay, the hospital room had an area, so this is neutral. Okay.
どこ行ったんだ？
さあ
The window was open. Wind blew against the white curtains, sending them fluttering in the breeze. For some odd reason, it caught my eye ever since I come in the room. It felt like a negative delusion could start at any second, one where we jumped from the rooftop and fell past that window. One where if I looked down I'd find her sprawled on the ground, covered in blood, and with gray matter scattered everywhere. I had to check. Couldn't bear the burning curiosity. As if possessed, my shaky legs moved step by step towards the window. I stood right by it. The sky was dyed in the evening glow. There was a crisp fall evening. What might have been below? The very picture of hell itself. With a gulp, I ever so slowly peeked out the window and down toward the ground. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Couldn't see Luis's corpse anywhere. Guess I'd just been paranoid. But when I went to retract my head and leave, I noticed it. Oh. On the window 1 story below, a single towel was waving in the wind. I assumed it was just a normal white towel, but words of some kind were scrawled on it in dark blue lettering. Due to it flapping in the wind, I couldn't quite figure out what it said. Not that I really cared. The words scribbled on some towers shouldn't have bothered me at all. But a part of me still tried desperately to read it. And when I looked closer, I saw... Oh my fucking god. Whose eyes are those eyes? Okay, I'm sensing a theme with these delusions. I was speechless. I couldn't look away. And right after... What the fuck? The towel was suddenly pulled back through the window. Almost as if they had known I'd been looking at the towel at that very moment. No, that couldn't be possible. Nobody I knew could have been in the room below me. Nobody knew I'd been hospitalized. Even if someone other than a patient were stalking me from the room below, it would have been possible for them to predict that I would peer down from here, right? There were no surveillance cameras in the rooms. It was all just a coincidence. It had to be. But what if Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't? Huh. Terror creeping over my back, I turned back towards the entrance. There was nobody there. The door was shut. Immediately pulled myself away from the window, feeling incredibly uneasy. Don't think about it. Try as hard as you can not to. The stick, the towel, it's all repeating. Whose eyes are those eyes? Even the fucking negative delusion within me. Whose eyes are those eyes? This was a coincidence. A simple coincidence. That's what I told myself.
見ろよタク、変な本があるぞ。
I suddenly realized Masumi-kun was calling me. Interesting. Ooh, I wonder what the hell this ending B is going to be. Like the Holy Church, like finally gains control of Takumi, and on the 7th page. Whose eyes are those eyes? Oh boy. Oh fucking boy. I wonder what the hell is going to happen with this ending B. I'm so curious. So fucking curious by this point. Okay, Galdor. This is negative. Gotcha. Okay. He went to go right past me, but just before he did, he put his hand on my shoulder.
俺もうついていけねえや。あとは任せた。
With a sigh of exploration, he made to leave the room. Here we go.
待って。
Elise had finally said something to Masumi-kun, but she'd done so with a grim expression on her face. I wasn't sure why.
逃がさないわよ。
あ？何何？俺の相手してくれんの？
ええ、そうね。あなたが邪神王の使いだということは分かっている。
Oh. But even they're part of her insane storyline. Masumi-kun looked pretty annoyed at being dragged into Elise's bullshit. Pretty justified response, to be honest. It wasn't even funny as a joke. However, Elise seemed quite serious.
匠、
As she called my name, Elise took out something that looked like a fruit knife from beneath the bed sheets, then threw it over to me. Surprised, I heard when he went to catch it. While the knife fortunately had a guard on it, I still came close to cutting my hand.
そいつを殺すのよ。
Oh shit. Him? When Elise said that, she was looking at Masumi-kun. What kind of batshit insane plot twist was this? Bewildered, I held the knife with a trembling hand.
おいおい。殺せときたか。いくらなんでも、それはひどくね？まあ、岸本に嫌われてんのは分かってたけどよ。まさか面と向かってそんなこと言われるとは思わなかったぜ。それで、なんだっけ？グラビトーン？邪神？何のことだか、俺にはさっぱりわかんねえんだけどな。たく、とりあえずナイフを置けよ。岸本の妄想に付き合うな。
妄想じゃないわ。匠、そいつの言葉を信じないで。
Oh shit. Masumi-kun's expression stiffened, and he took a step away from Elise.
お前、異常だぜ。
匠、早く殺すのよ。でないとグラジオールに君の存在が筒抜けになってしまうわ。
Oh boy. With the knife in my hand, I slowly placed it back on Elise's lap.
匠、
君の言ってることはめちゃくちゃだよ。
She looked up at me with sad eyes. Doesn't matter how you look at me. How the hell do you expect me to kill Masumi-kun? This has nothing to do with Galdor or whatever. Killing someone would make me a criminal, and that's not going to happen. Simple as that.
さすが親友。お前なら俺を選ぶって信じてたぜ。たく。
Masumi-kun clapped his hand on my shoulder. And then, casually as could be, without a care in the world, he grasped the knife in Elise's lap.
じゃあな。電波女。
Oh shit. And then, without stopping even once, he removed the guard from the knife before immediately slashing outward. Ooh. Blood spurted from her neck with blistering speed. Some splashed against my face. It was very, very hot. Elisa's eyes were wide with shock. She was looking straight at me. Her body then slowly collapsed upon the bed. The pure white sheets were stained crimson. Holy shit.
しまったな、タク。今のが最後のチャンスだったんだぜ。グラジオール復活を阻止するための。な。
I couldn't even scream.
正しかったのは岸本の方だったってわけだ。
As he said that, Masumi-kun got on top of Elisa's splayed out body. Then, without even a hint of hesitation, he gouged out her eyeballs. Oh my god. And yet, her body didn't move, didn't even twitch. Masumi-kun turned toward me, and with a cool smile, he murmured,
その目誰の目?
Oh my god. Whose eyes are those? Dude, honestly, I feel like the ending's just gonna be Takumi goes insane because he keeps hearing that fucking phrase, whose eyes are those eyes, in his delusions and reality. When it came to Elise, who should have been covered in blood, was simply sitting on the bed, completely unharmed. Masumi-kun was nowhere to be sight. Had that been a delusion? I let out a deep sigh of relief. That definitely been a nasty one. Feeling guilty, I apologized to Elise inside my head. But since she couldn't hear my thoughts, Elise just went on with her schizo babbling. Okay. Interesting. Whose eyes are those eyes indeed?
なんだ、それじゃあ必死にごまかそうとしてたのがバカみたいじゃない。
Okay, that voice. Alright. So that's the last one for chapter 8.
あなたはタクの何なのって。
What had she meant by that?
マジで宣戦布告ってやつか。
まあそんなとこかな。
Maybe looked bashful. Her gaze darted back and forth between me and the ground.
タクは渡さないからって言っちゃったし。そしたら見事に叩かれたんだけどさ。
すげえ。女の戦いだな。
Masumi-kun rustled my hair.
おいタク、どうすんだよ。
What was she getting at here? I never really understand. Actually, it was more like my mind had gone completely blank.
告られてんだぞお前。もう付き合っちまえよ。
Grinning, Masumi-kun suddenly shoved me forward. Caught off guard, I stumbled, and Rimi was right in front line of fire. And they tumbled into each other. Ooh, la, la. By the way, the last scene we just saw was Masumi-kun brutally murdering Elise, slitting her throat and taking out her fucking eyeballs. Anyway, as per the laws of physics, I ended up with my arms around Remy. My heart was pounding. Remy's body was so soft and warm.
タク、私。
When I tried to hurry up and get off of her, Remy wrapped her arms around my back. She nervously brought me in close, hugging me. Aw. Electricity ran through me at Remy's surprise attack. In our moment of intimacy, her tender warmth transferred straight over to my body. I wanted to keep feeling that warmth. I wanted Remy to be mine, and mine alone. Taken over by those feelings, I hugged her supple body back. And right as I did, a silhouette standing behind Remy's shoulders entered my field of vision. Oh shit. It was Elise, distorted hand, looking at me with an expression of bitter hatred. While I couldn't hear what it was, I could tell she was mumbling something. I gulped. War was looming. Blood would be wept without mercy. And the moment I realized that, I knew I had to escape as soon as possible. Yeah.
おいタク、何ぼーっとしてんだ。行くぞ。
Masumi-kun was calling for me. Remy also waved on me from beside him. Blinking in a daze, I examined my surroundings. I was definitely not embracing Remy. At least was nowhere in sight.
ドキドキした。
Doki doki. Yeah, I could deal without the cat fights. Yandere's should just stay in the realm of 2D. I don't want anything to do with someone actually like that. I heard a way chased after the two. Alright. Yeah, yep, they caught the quote-unquote new-gen murderer. Whatever the fuck that is. And then we have ourselves Quombo Episode 2, Froggy Case.
あの
Did I choose neutral for that, or did I choose bad? If I chose bad there, I would have chosen good here, so let's go with bad here. Oh wait, no, we're not in Chapter 9. I already fucking did choose bad, damn it. Memory fails me, what can you do? At least we have the skip button. Then awesome fucking fight ensues with awesome fucking swords and shit, man, and then we get the fucking hell of a flashback. Well, no. Is that not yet? No, it feels like the flashback should be here very soon. Because Louise confronting her dad, and then blah blah blah, do all that. Yep, here we go. Ooh, let's go through all that. All right, over. And then over here is the grand reveal. And back here with Takumi. And then we got Chapter 9. And then we got Quombo Episode 3. Train Station Madness. Back to house.
少なくともあの時あの場所では4つの妄想がシンクロしてた。
Voice force. That voice. Okay. So let's go with positive for this, since I know for a fact I went neutral.
これ以上妄想しちゃダメ。
Oh. Oh shit. My mind, still trying to delude itself, was forcefully whipped back to reality by Remy's words. Oh shit. Oh, interesting. Oh, that was interesting. But I know for a fact there aren't that many delusions in Chapter 9. That I know for fucking sure. There's a couple, but I think I went neutral for most of them because, well, probably because of what Remy said and all of this. And here comes, okay, here we go. Here we go. Maybe it was for the best. That voice. Okay, no. Maybe, yeah, that voice. Okay, so this has nothing with that voice. Just checking, just in case if I fucking fuck anything up. Okay, let's go with good here. Let's see if there's anything different. With my own 2 feet, I took a single step forward. Or at least I intended to. But my legs didn't move an inch. They wouldn't do it for me. Before I realized my knees had started trembling. I couldn't gather the courage. Despite how much I wanted to die, the fear of death wouldn't allow me to take even a single step forward. I wanted to die, yet I also feared death. I didn't understand. I couldn't grasp my own feelings anymore. Did I want to live or die? Which was it? I clenched my teeth, closed my eyes, and repeated myself, I want to die. But just as I feared, my legs wouldn't move. Seeing the steel cars pass by so quickly, the thought of getting run over by one of those high-speed weapons came to mind, and my body froze completely. In the end, I sank to the ground. At what should have been the end of it all, I finally got to know how much of a pussy I was, how much of a spoiled brat I was. I ended up thinking about what would be the most convenient for me. If I can't move from here, what if a car skids down the road and runs into me on the sidewalk? How nice it would be. Some act of God like that had me to die. Wow, that scene ended much earlier if you just pick a delusion. Okay, that voice, right? Nope. Despite that, okay. I keep waiting for that voice. Alright, I'm just making sure over and over again. Okay, let's just go with positive. Fuck it.
消えなくたってこれまでタッキーは存在感ゼロだったっしょ。
I felt a sudden pain deep in my chest. I think even Saratan would say such horrible things to me.
ひどいことも何も本当のことだよ。消えたいとか言ってるくせに図星疲れたぐらいでへこむんだ。タッキーはさ、この1ヶ月ぐらい調子に乗ってたよね。周りの人たち、特に女子だよね。可愛い子たちとリア充みたく話すようになっちゃって。それまではさ、友達なんて一人もいなくて引きこもってたの。でも逆に考えれば、またその頃みたいな生活に戻るってだけなのさ。
Go back?
そう、戻る。誰とも会っちゃダメ、誰も信じちゃダメ。本物なのか偽物なのかとかどうでもいい。そんなの誰にも証明できないし。タッキーは私だけ見てればいいさ。前はそれだけで十分幸せだったっしょ。そう感じなくなっちゃったのはタッキーに近づいてきたあの女子たちのせいだよ。あんなアバズレビッチどもとはさ、会わない方がいいって絶対。
そうか、そういうことか。
Oh my god. The ones who got involved with me were at fault. It was their fault, really, and everyone else's, not mine. I become a shut-in again, starting with Saratan. I live here surrounded by my wife, who says a person with no name and an anomalous existence. Sounds good to me. What about you, Saratan?
そういうこと。
Snookums.
タッキーは私が幸せにしてあげる。
Saratan spoke cheerfully from within my grasp, and I was hit with a strong sense of disgust toward myself. I made her do so. I'm such a fucking disgrace. I wanted to die even more than before. God damn. Alright, back to Columbo, episode 4, hospital, haunted hospital. And then death. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Is this the point? That voice. There we go. Finally. All right. Positive. Yes. That positive voice. Here we go.
あ、やっと出てきた。生存確認。
Aw. As I opened the door, Nanami smiled and waved at me. I froze in place. She was acting way too normal. She was acting way too energetic. I'd seen it. A white bandage wrapped around her right wrist, so why? I then remembered the phone call I'd gotten a few hours earlier. The pained voice asking me to give her her right hand back. And now the smile she had right now, the bandage around her right wrist, contradicted each other. Nanami was contradicting herself. Oh, I see. She was also a delusion. She had to be. I never had a little sister named Nanami to begin with. I got it now. That had to be it. After ignoring her and then back into my room, I sat down on the sofa. I once again took hold of my Saratan figure, gripped her tight, so tight in fact that my hand hurt slightly, but it didn't matter, because that pain too was a delusion.
お兄、どうしたの？元気ないじゃん。
Everything in this world was made up of delusions, delusions developed only within my mind. Both me and this delusion I was looking at were fake.
徹夜でゲームでもやってたの？もっと人間らしい生活したら？え？何？
黙れ。
ちょっと、そんな言い方しなくてもいいじゃん。お兄だからって何言っても許されるとか思ってる？
黙れよ。もうそう妹が。
妄想？
I surrendered my body to the sofa and looked up at the ceiling. With no particular goal in mind, I started counting the rusty spots. I didn't want to look at Nanami. I'd only feel empty if I did. Well, not that I cared about whether I felt empty or not, given I was just a delusionary existence.
ねえお兄、本当に平気？いつもと全然様子が違うけど。
Worrying about me like a good little sister, huh? My delusional sister was worried about me. And the fact alone filled me with anger. Besides, who was she to have come in my room like she owned the place?
あ、わかった。お腹空いたんでしょう。
I gritted my teeth.
だったら、ナナが何か作ろうか？
どれ？
鳥って言った？鶏肉？
No one said a thing about takeout.
鶏肉だと、やっぱ唐揚げかな。でも、一人で作ったことないし。あ、別に、お兄のリクエストがあったから作るわけじゃないからね。ナナも今日は鶏肉で何か作りたいなって思ってただけだよ。
This Nanami was really annoying. The fact that she was so familiar to the real one wasn't something I could ignore. Wait, did the real Nanami even exist in the real first place? Then what was this Nanami? Real? The real Nanami? My head became a mess. So I stopped thinking. I didn't care anymore. At the end of the day, everything was a delusion.
包帯取れ。取ってみろ。ボケが。
包帯って、あ、これ？転んで打撲しただけだし。
Just a fall. Was it true? Or was she lying? How would know if she took it off?
ほんと、わがままなお兄だな。じゃあ約束してよ。ナナが包帯取ってみせたら、お兄も元気出すって。
The sound of rustling cloth waiting for out their quiet room, followed by a ringing in my ears. My head hurt. These two were delusions, though, so I paid them no mind.
はい、これで満足？って、ちょっとお兄、わざわざ取ったんだから、ちゃんと見てよ。
I sluggishly lowered my gaze. Nanami had rolled up her uniform sleeve, and she was now sticking her right hand out toward me. And when I looked at her slender arm, I saw... Oh. Oh my fucking god. Blood, dripping blood. Bloody words had been cut into her arm, and they said...
その目、誰の目？
Oh my fucking god. Oh, found what? Whose eyes are those? Found all the whose eyes are those? Oh shit. I think I might have got it. My vision flashed, and when it passed, just like that, the horrifying wound at her arm was gone. I've been hyperventilating, so I moved to catch my breath. I forcefully bit my lip. Nanami was rubbing the arm she had taken the bandage off of.
青あざ、だいぶ消えてくれたな。最初はすごく腫れてたんだよ。
Son of a bitch. So, yeah, I think that is it. The whose eyes are those eyes. I found all of them. Damn. I didn't know whether that was the truth or not. Sure, there wasn't a wound there, but there had been before. I didn't understand anything anymore. I didn't want to think anymore. I once again laid my head on the sofa.
ねえ。ナナミ。
Without meeting her eyes, I called out to my sister, or to the girl whose identity I wasn't sure of.
お前が本物でも偽物でもどっちでもいいよ。
Right now, I only wanted one thing.
僕を殺してくれないか。
Fuck, man. Back to Columbo, episode 6. Ghost Sister. Activate the sword. I have to say, this season of Columbo is fucking wild. I mean, shit, man. Yep, go through all this and go through that. Yep. Go through all. Here we go.
リベンジってこと。
For revenge. Neutral for revenge. Which I think I've already done, so. Yeah. That did say neutral, right? Let me check one more time. Yeah, it was. Okay. Just making sure. I think I got it either way. I think I got the vast majority of them. I think there's like 8 extra ones just to give you some room, which is nice. Which is nice to have when you're trying to get them out. It would have sucked if I missed. Oh, you missed one delusion. Now you're fucked, buddy. Then gather all your memories. Yeah! Your arc has been completed, Takumi. Swash, 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 swash. Kill, kill. Yep, getting off on it. Yep, yep, yep. Fucking crazy bitch. Yep, yep, yep. Boom. Okay, then chapter 10. I can't do anything here, so let's just wait for the new shit. This is how it feels like to go through the super fast game. Man, I should have just done this from the beginning. I could have just completed this game in like 2 episodes. Because who gives a shit about an 8-hour visual novel? Who cares about character development or anything like that, or getting to know these characters? Who gives? Oh. Shinshin Station of the Inukashiwa line was one stop from Shibuya, with it taking only about a minute to arrive there by train. The station itself was situated within an underground tunnel, resulting in the only natural light being the beam seeping in from the opening at the end of the platform. Due to the earthquake, all the lights had gone out, enveloping the area in a far thicker darkness than usual. Carrying Ohara Kazui's body on her back, Aoi Senna set foot onto the platform. There had been no need to buy a ticket. Not a single staff member was present in the vicinity, and none of the ticket machines were in service. Only a glance was necessary to understand how horribly warped the railway tracks had become. It was no wonder that the trains had suspended operation the day before. Kazui's breathing would turn laborious at times, but she was far from conscious. Dried blood was caked on her forehead. What the hell happened to Kazui? During the earthquake, she had been caught in the wake of a collapsing building and had not regained consciousness since. Uh-oh. Gigawomaniacs are unable to use their powers to heal wounds. To the brain, pain is an inescapable reminder of reality. Thus, Gigawomaniacs cannot form any sort of mutual recognition to the effect of "I'm not wounded" or "the injury didn't happen." Human instinct would never allow it. Moreover, one cannot establish mutual recognition with someone who is unconscious. These reasons rendered Senna unable to assist Kazui. When they had at last reached the deserted platform, Senna lowered Kazui from her back and gently laid her against the wall. Senna's expression was stiff. With only a single glance towards Kazui, she shifted her gaze back to the station premises. Glaring motionlessly at a certain point in the distance, she gritted her teeth. Well, things have changed, somehow.
やった。見つけた。
At the end of her gaze... What? In the dark recesses of the platform, 2 figures stood shoulder to shoulder. Okay, this is fucking different. One was a tall man wearing an expensive suit. His whole body exuded an aura of refinement. He had excellent posture, and a relaxed smile rested on his lips. The other was a homeless man clad in filthy rags. His hair was unkempt and shaggy, and his face was covered in stubble. The man's head was hung low, rendering his expression difficult to accurately discern. Their appearances contrasted violently. But the 2 men did nothing but stand silently on the dim, empty station platform. Senna felt nothing but raw hatred towards the both of them, Noruse, Genichi, and Hatano Ise. Even if she wanted to forget about them, she would never have been able to.
母さんと妹を殺した。その2人が揃ってお出迎えか。
A long time ago, her mother and little sister had met their gruesome ends right before her eyes. And the people before her now were the very people who had killed them.
私の本意ではなかったんだ、セナ。
With his head still hung low, the homeless man Hatano let out a desolate murmur.
あの実験を止めようとした。だが、私一人では動き出した歯車は止められなかった。この男が。
Hatano took a fleeting glance at Noruse's expression. Naruse said nothing. His composed attitude remained unmoving.
この男が実験の継続を指示した。
Of course he did.
私はあの結果を望んではいなかった。悪いのはこの男、ノロセなんだ。分かってくれ、セナ。
Senna's repugnance billowed as she listened to his words of
お
repentance.
前は母さんと妹を見殺しにした。それが厳然とした事実だ。悔いているならどうして逃げた？
世界を守るためだ。
でたらめを。
親に逆らうのは感心しませんね。
Whoa. It was the first time Naruse had spoken.
確かに君の家族が悲劇的な結末を迎えたのは私が指示した結果です。もう十分データは取れていたのでね。実に有意義な実験でした。
有意義？
Senna swiftly reel-booted the disc switch she held in her hands. The resulting shockwave stirred her long black hair.
この男を殺せ、セナ。こいつが元凶だ。
言われなくても。
Senna already kicked powerfully off the platform. Without brandishing her sword, she closed the distance, a phenomenal display of her explosive power. Her target, Naruse Genichi. Too easy. She mowed him down with her disc sword. Even the air was torn to shreds. Naruse's head tore free and flew away from its source. Senna followed it with her eyes, when suddenly, Naruse's flying head distorted mid-flight and transformed into that of her father's. Suwa, you son of a bitch. Stunned, she looked at the headless body that stood before her. It had been wearing a suit only a moment ago, but now it donned the clothes of a homeless man. Devoid now of any and all power, it tumbled back lifelessly. Fuck. Eyes wide as could be, Senna looked at Hatano, who had been standing just beside it. He turned to face her in return, his bearded face warped into a vicious sneer, his face contorted as if a mosaic had been affixed to it, and his body contorted in a similar fashion. Oh, motherfucker. The very next instant, Hatano took on the face of a man Senna did not recognize. His age, his face, his aura, they all differed greatly from her father's. Senna was overwhelmed with confusion. She took another unblinking look at the head she had just severed. After tracing the arc as it flew, it had splattered blood upon where it had struck the concrete. It was her father's face. It was her father's head. Senna could not look away. An illusion made by a delusion. Realizing that, Senna's breathing grew shallow and ragged.
セナちゃんさ、
The man who was supposed to be her father, the man who was now completely a different person, spoke Senna's name in a far too friendly way.
君が今やったことって結局お父さんと同じっすよね。
Oh my god, Soa, you son of a bitch. It was the result she had longed for all throughout these past 6 months. It should have been, and yet Senna was assaulted by a fierce inner turmoil. Her father, who had been reduced to just the head, had his eyes trained directly on Senna.
父親の首跳ねて殺すってえぐいな。
Jesus Christ. Still not comprehending why she was experiencing such psychological shocks, Senna heard something tear deep inside her ears. Oh, fuck. I heard a voice. The scream of Senna's mind, a scream which cursed reality, a scream which emulated madness. I followed that cry all the way to Shinshin Station. But by the time I got there, it was already too late. She got shot in the head, didn't she? When I set foot onto the dim platform, the faint smell of blood hung in the air. Kazupi was lying against the wall unconscious. And there on the platform was Senna, sunk to the ground with her back facing me. Her head was pointed down, and her long hair was covering her face. I couldn't see her expression. Right beside her was a headless body. It then occurred to me that the round object lying a few meters away was the head that had once been attached to it. It was Hatano-san. The moment I realized that, I bit my lip hard. A man was sitting in the tracks. Contrasting heavily with the suit he was wearing, he had a rucksack on his back. A harsh mechanical noise was emanating from it. Suwa Mamoru, a detective from the Metropolitan Police Department's Investigation Division. This wasn't the first time I'd run into him, and I knew exactly what he'd done.
もともとは目障りな畑の親子を処分しに来たんすけどね。西条くん、君が自分から火に飛び込んできてくれて感謝感激っす。
Oh my god.
君を見かけたら捕まえろってことになってるんすよ。
誰に
I wonder, because Kazupi got hit by rubble a little bit more, Sana was just a little too slow to get here, and Suwa got here first.
内緒っす。
He smiled a flippant smile, one that was somewhat reminiscent of Detective Ban's. But there was one key difference. Detective Ban's smile had always been just an act meant to throw people off or rile them up. When it came to Suwa, however, this sly smile was who he truly was.
あんたノロセの居場所を知ってる
西条くんさ。
Suwa heaved a sigh as he shook his head in an exaggerated manner.
口の聞き方に気をつけてほしいっすね。自分の方が年上っすよ。
With my eyes still trained on Suwa, I cautiously jumped down from the platform and onto the tracks. Senna was still motionless, so I ended up effectively shielding her back.
バンっていう人を殺したのはあんただ
だから
刑事のくせに人を殺すなんて
君には言われたくないっす。
I gripped my disc sword tightly.
あんたみたいなやつに敬語を使う義理なんてないよ
あのさ、お前に言われたくねえって言ってるんだよ。
Whew. Even from this distance, it was clear to see. The smile on Suwa's face had disappeared.
お前も人殺しだろ。違うとは言わせないぞ。お前は葉月志乃を殺した。俺は今すぐにでもお前をぶち殺したいんだよ。
Damn, were you two in love? Crazy fucks. Hazuki's Shino, the nurse who had been the real new-gen culprit. She and Suwa were both disciples of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. Was that all? I gulped audibly.
信仰の救いのためにそれは自制するが、その代わり
俺が責任持って心を殺してやる。
I attempted to brandish my disc sword, but it was obvious that I wouldn't be able to do anything. It was just a reflex, just like I expected I wasn't able to do anything at all. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. What the hell? I found myself in a dimly lit room. In that room was a single man talking to a much older man through a large screen. Okay, let me just turn off the skip button since it's all new. Through a large screen.
諏訪君、君と葉月君にやってもらいたい修行があるのだ。
はい、何なりと。
人を殺してもらいたい。
相手は誰ですか？
相手が何者かに意味はない。
This is the founder of the Church of the Divine Light, the old man. Gotcha.
と申しますと。
特に決まりはないと言っておこう。殺す対象、殺し方はこちらで指示する。我らが進めているプロジェクトノアを完成させるため、西条匠という少年に心理的揺さぶりをかける必要があるのだ。
Oh.
揺さぶりですか？
恐怖を与えるのだ。しかしその少年の秘めた力は強大だ。 直接的な行動はこちらの身に危険を及ぼしかねん。故に連続猟奇殺人事件を起こす。
Oh, son of a bitch.
たったそれだけのために殺人を。
不満かね。
シノもその修行に参加しなければなりませんか。
当然だ。これは信仰の理想郷を築くためであり、同時に君たちに信仰の救いをもたらすだろう。
Son of a bitch. So was Suwa and Shino committing these murders in order to provoke Takumi? Gotcha. Alright.
そういうことであれば。
時に葉月くんはお腹に君の子を授かっていたな。予定日はいつかね。
Oh, fuck.
あと2ヶ月ほどです。
その子供、信仰の救いのために捧げたまえ。
My fucking god.
殺せとおっしゃいますか。
聖なる犠牲だよ。子を捧げれば、君と葉月くんには大いなる信仰の救いがもたらされるだろう。
大いなる信仰の救い。かしこまりました。すべて教祖様の仰せのままに。きっとシノも喜びます。信仰の救いあれ。
So it was literally this kid. Fuck. Shit. Suddenly, insanely powerful wind blew against me. It pushed me backward hard, nearly knocking me over. I tried desperately to brace myself against it. However, my body didn't do what I asked. So my body curled up into a ball on the spot. My body wouldn't listen to me. It moved by itself. It was like my body wasn't my own. What the fuck? Before I knew it, my surroundings had gone completely dark. When I looked below, I saw the nightscape spreading out before me. If I didn't know any better, I could have easily mistaken all the lights as a sky full of stars. I suddenly realized I was standing somewhere ridiculously high up. Beside me were 4 men and women I never met. No, I knew one of them. Yua, for some reason, though. She wasn't wearing her glasses. No, that wasn't Yua. It was Mia, Yua's younger twin sister. The one who should have died a month ago. Which meant this was... Oh, shit. The roof of Cornelius' tower. My body wasn't my own. I was wearing a school uniform I didn't recognize, and even the body type was brawnier than my own. When I saw that there were 4 other people huddled together on the ground, wailing loudly as tears poured down their faces, it led me to guess what exactly was happening. This body that my consciousness had invaded belonged to one of the 5 victims who had died in the first New Gen case, the group dive. Though, through no will of my own, my field of vision ever so slowly panned over towards the helipad. Shogun had filmed the video, so he should have been here somewhere. Oh... There, Shogun was wearing a Darth Spider helmet on his head and a black cloak draped over his body. When Shogun had cornered me at O Front, he'd been wearing something similar. But, is this guy actually Shogun? No. His legs were slightly peeking out from his black cloak. He was very clearly wearing slacks. In addition, his legs were thick, like those of the healthy adult males. They weren't the skinny, pathetic legs that belonged to Shogun, to Nishijou Takayumi. No bones protruded from them. And when I looked closer, I realized that even his sitting height was completely different. The cloak kept him hidden, but his shoulders also looked very broad. At the very least, the man wasn't Nishijou Takayumi, and he wasn't carrying a video camera. Suddenly, from the darkness spreading out behind a fake Shogun, I heard footsteps. Dragging footsteps. The fuck? Not just one set of them. It wasn't a hallucination. The strange footsteps belonged to many, many people. There had to be several dozen unknown entities working in the darkness. The footsteps hadn't been in the video that had been uploaded on YouTube, but not to mention there shouldn't have been any way for this many people to have gained access to the helipad. Then, what the hell was the sound? The 4 others beside me continued to wail in grief, though through no will of my own, my body similarly let out a cry and they began to tremble. What the fuck? Something was coming closer. If it wasn't a low-budget horror movie, then Dragging Footsteps would have been zombies. Zombies with both arms hanging down limply in front of them. Their decaying bodies slowly swaying as they walked. What the But that was just in the movies. In reality, and especially in 21st century Tokyo, there was no way a horde of zombies could possibly just show up like that. But if that was the case, then what were they? My heart felt like it was going to seize up in terror. Oh, I wanted to look away. But the owner of the body invaded refused to do so. Son of a bitch. Finally, the unknown entities began to emerge from the darkness. Suwa fucking controlled them. They choked all remaining space in the helipad to make them sealing off our escape route. Pretty much showed them the illusion of zombies or whatever. I wasn't sure if it was right to call it anticlimactic, but the ones who appeared were perfectly normal people. They wore suits, school uniforms, parkas, and they were at different ages and sexes. But they were still all people you expect to find walking around Shibuya at night. Save for one thing. Every one of the nearly 100 people there was gripping some sort of bladed object. Holy shit. None of them has said a word nor even tried to. All that could be heard was their raspy, nasally breaths pulling together into an abysmal cacophony. For some reason, I couldn't see their expressions very well. It was like their faces were made of paint that had been burned by water. No, gathered a bunch of people here. Their faces were blurry and disfigured. Were their faces actually deformed? Or was my sight itself the problem? I didn't know. They were sluggishly yet steadily coming towards us. They were like robots that had been programmed with a single mission. I thought that perhaps the fake Shogun was ordering them around. But that didn't seem to be the case. Every once in a while, he would move his wheelchair forward so I would going to freeze once again and not move a single inch beyond that. What the fuck? The 5 people had all been cornered and now they had nowhere to run. In order to escape from the 180-meter high rooftop, they had no choice but to dive. Grasping their blades, the mob grew closer. Closer and closer, little by little. Eventually, they were within reaching distance. And yet, even in these final moments, they all stayed completely silent. As well as this, even as they drew nearer and nearer, they didn't make any attempt to jump on any of the victims. But this strange behavior only served to make them all the more terrifying. Terrifying enough to make me think, I need to get out of here, even if it means I have to jump. Holy shit. I heard an unexpected voice. What? The voice of the real Shogun, Nishijou Takayumi. However, I hadn't heard it from the man wearing the Darth Spider helmet, but from overhead. And it seemed like I hadn't been the only one to hear it. As if they rehearsed it, the 5 cornered people all stood up, joined hands with one another, and looked up at the night sky. Naturally, only the starry sky spread across the night. Shogun was nowhere to be found. Mind reading. My field of vision slowly panned. And then I saw something strange. Even though the nightscape should have been the only thing spreading out below me, I saw a long flight of stairs stretching downward. Oh my god. It led right to the roof of the adjacent building, that's Science City, which was across the Metropolitan Highway. But the building nestled up close to Cornelius Tower. A building nestled close to Cornelius Tower. In fact, that didn't make any sense, because no such building exists in reality. Even so, the 5 people held no suspicions that the staircase was delusionary. All they thought was how they'd been saved by it. These thoughts, these emotions were conveyed distinctively to me, and then, with only them in mind, they stepped forward. Hand in hand. They had yet to let go even once. It was exactly how the group dive had ended. None of them had possessed any desire to dive. So when the staircase they had been so convinced was real disappeared, the feeling of empty air deeply shocked them. Oh my god. And as they fell, they screamed from the deepest depths of their hearts. Falling. Wind pressure violently assaulted my body. Oh my god. The shrieks of the girl next to me emulated howls of the most terrifying of beasts. She clutched my hand so tightly. Her nails dug into my flesh. The time it took for us to fall those 100 meters felt like an eternity. The dark earth rushed towards us with incredible speed. Our surroundings were so dark. I started to hallucinate about falling into a never-ending abyss, one that endlessly sucked me down deeper and deeper. And then... oh! The bodies of 5 people collided with the earth. With a sickening crunch, they were pulverized. The pain struck without me expecting it, a single blow that led straight to death. The impact felt like my entire body exploded and then ground into a fine powder from the inside out. I felt the sensation of my heart violently contracting from the shock, and then my consciousness was severed. Holy shit. Oh my god. I think Sue is going to make Takumi experience all these deaths, but I didn't want to complete this ending, but I don't think we are this episode. Next episode, 100%, but like we're already at the 2-hour mark, and I don't want to drag this on. I don't know how fucking long this is. Maybe Takumi doesn't escape from this. Maybe he does, and then goes finds Genichi or something. But I feel like this is a good stopping point right here, since from now on, it looks like we're just going to get new content, which is pretty sick. But shit. So did I wonder. So no, I think it was Suicide still trying to fuck with them to create a suicide, right? I mean, that's the only thing that would make sense, I guess. But goddamn, this has been fascinating. We get in a lot more revelations, and I guess we're just going straight into the new gen murders and how exactly they happened, which is pretty fucking cool and disturbing as well. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. With time something, put it down in the comments below. Check out this what's hanging out in on my Twitter. Check description below. Yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.